Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. Welcome to our interactive live Q&A. Today, we are here to answer your questions about TalentLMS. It's a webinar that you will take control of, and you will choose the topics, you will ask the questions, and our only job is to give you as many answers as possible. So if you're ready, let's start. My name is Theo. I am part of the customer education team, and I'll be hosting the session alongside my good colleague, Nick.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nick, and of course, I'm looking forward to hearing your questions, to see what you're going to choose, and of course, to answer the questions that you're going to ask.
And you will hear from Nick a little bit more just in a moment. But first, let's see how we play this game today, because it's not just a webinar. Again, you will take control. What will happen is we will push different polls on screen. So the webinar is 45 minutes in duration, and every 15 minutes, we will push a poll. You will vote on screen, and then we will answer questions about the topic that you will vote. Of course, we're waiting to answer your questions. So make sure that for the topic that you vote, you can definitely pop a question using the Q&A button. So 3 polls. Every quarter, every 15 minutes, you will see a new poll. You will pick the topic and bring us your questions. How do you bring the questions? I can see already somebody starting on the Q&A. Perfect. So you will be able to use the Q&A button in the meeting controls. And then, of course, you can post your question. You can do it anonymously as well if you want. And for sure, the answers to your polls are anonymous. So feel free to answer how much you like into the polls. So if we are ready, let's start. And of course, what I'm going to do first is push the first poll out. So let's see. What do you have questions for? We have 2 topics here. We have groups and we have tests. And what you will see is that both topics can bring lots of questions. But at this point, I can see people are voting slightly more for groups. We're at like almost 70%. So let's see. Nick, what do you think that people will choose?
Now, the way I see this, almost half of you have voted. Please don't be shy. Pick the next subject we're going to talk about. I see groups are way ahead, but we're waiting to see. It's still time. If you're supporting the test, hey, you have the time to actually change that. So we'll wait a bit more until we get everybody to participate here.
That's right. And I think that the lines are a little bit steadier right now, and there's a lot of difference between them. So I'm going to end the poll right here, and I'm going to share the results. And you can see on screen now that most of you have voted for groups. So I'm going to pass the mic now to Nick, and let's see what question we have. I think that there's already a question from Mark here.
Yeah, so let me first off share my screen. And if I did everything correctly, now you should be able to see my screen as well. And oh yes, I have indeed the first question here from Mark. So he's asking, can our learners self-enroll in a group? Oh, very nice question. So the short answer is yes, you can have people self-enroll in a group. How are we going to practically do that? Well, in order to allow people to self-enroll in a group, we must first create a group key. So how are we going to do this? I am logged in as an administrator in the portal. I can click on my groups. And here I see the different groups that I have. So I have the group, for example, for data protection. And let's say we want people to be able to self-enroll here. So what I'm going to do, I'll click on the group to be able to edit it. And as you see, it already has a group key here. Now, this is unique, which basically means that you can use one group key for one group. So we cannot have 2 groups that have the same group key. If I don't like this group key, data protection, the system can generate a random one for me. So if I just remove that, save the group, and I just go back into it again, and click on group key, you see the system is going to generate a random one. But of course, I can always set it up to whatever I want. So maybe I can call this protecting your data. Or it could be whatever you want. Now we have our redemptions here. This is not something you have to fill in. It's not mandatory. What's the deal with redemptions? If redemptions is left empty, then basically we can use this group key for as many users as we want. So this means we have no limit in regards to how many people can actually use this group. On the other hand, maybe we want to limit it. So maybe, for example, we'll set it to 25. And now we're going to save our group here. So as you see, now I have a little counter, 25 redemptions, which is essentially telling me that I can use this specific key that I added 25 times. Now, if I want my user to self-register the group, all I have to do is find a way to send to my users this group key. Maybe I can do it in an email where I have everybody BCC'd, so they don't see each other, but still they're going to receive the key. And from a learner perspective, all my learners have to do is to go to their profile once they receive the email, and then they're going to click here, join group, and the system is going to prompt them to add the key. And here is the key that I have created. Now, I'm already a member of the group, so this is what the system is going to tell me. But for a normal learner, you click join group, and then here it would say you have been added to the group data protection. Now, in my case, I was already a member, so the system knows that. So Mark, I hope this helps. Now it actually helps you in regards to how you can get people to self-enroll in a group. I see a question from Brandy. Can I enroll employees from a certain group into a course all at once? There is a couple of different ways that you could do this. So way number one that you can do it, is this course a part of the group? So for example, if I go back into my groups here, and this is my data protection group, I can see the courses that I have available. Remember, a group is a tool that is there to allow you to basically register users in different courses. So let's say I have this course here, Understanding Emotions, and I want people to take this course. What I could do is I could click on the plus symbol. It will add the course to the group. And then I can go to my users, and I want to make sure everybody's going to pick it up. If I want to give it only to an individual, I can click on the little plus icons here. If I want to do it in a more advanced way, a faster way, instead of clicking plus all of these times, mass actions, enroll users in group courses. I'm going to click on enroll, and basically this is going to add everybody who's a member of the group to all the courses that I have in the group. Now, there is an alternative way to do it, and this has to do with custom reports. Now, for custom reports, of course, your subscription should allow you to have access to custom reports, so probably not everybody has access to them. But if you do, it's a very, very powerful tool. So what you could do is you could go here in my reports and create a custom report. And I'm going to make a new one. And I could call it, for example, test. Probably for you, you want to have a better name than this. And then you set your conditions, and I can say I want everybody that belongs to a specific group. And again, I'm going to pick data protection, but you could pick whatever you want for your condition. You click on add report to add the specific report here. And now I see all the people. I have 10 people that belong in this data protection group. From here, mass actions. And maybe I can just enroll them to one course from here. And here I can search and give them a specific course. So maybe I want to give them keeping up with compliance. I click on enroll, and everybody is going to enroll on that specific course. So there's two ways to do it. If your subscription is supporting custom reports, it's a very, very powerful tool which allows you to perform such actions in a more nuanced way. I think this also is covering for an answer in regard to somebody, they didn't leave their name, and you asked if there's a way to synchronize the course. That's a way to do it. Let's see what other questions we have here. Again, from another anonymous person, is it possible within groups to have mandatory courses and elective/optional courses? Very nice question. It's a very common question as well. So the way the groups generally work is that all the courses of the group are optional, essentially. So if you're going to see here, I have a fraction. So I'm inside the group as before. Here's the list of my users, and I see this fraction. Basically, this fraction tells me to how many courses from all the courses I have allocated to the group, this specific person has enrolled in. So now everybody's 6 out of 6, which means they're registered to all of my courses. How could I have some courses that are mandatory and some that are elective? The easiest way to do that is, provided that you already have added all of your people in the group, is to do it as a two-step process. So I'm going to alter the numbers and maybe say I have a group with 7 mandatory courses. So I create my group and go to my courses. Again, this could be any number. I'm just using 7 as an example now. And I'll go to page 3 and actually add this course here. So now I have 7 courses and I want these to be mandatory. All I have to do, I go back to my users, mass actions, enroll again. And now everybody who is in the group is actually enrolled to these specific 7 courses. Now, with that said, I have also elective courses, which is what you asked me. What I could do after that, if I have, let's say, 3 more elective courses, I could then, after assigning the mandatory courses to everybody, I could then go and add these other 3 courses. So essentially now I have 10 courses and I went into my users, I gave them 7, and the other 3 courses, now they're not mandatory, so they can pick them at their own pace, basically. So I hope this answers this question. I hope it makes sense. And I think that's it for the questions in regard to groups. Theo, what's our next topic?
Exactly. Thank you so much for presenting us with so many questions. And behind the scenes, we also have Irini, our other colleague, who is also answering questions. And some of you might have noticed that I also answer questions while Nick does his own part. But now let's move on to another topic. So let's bring forward poll number 2. So there you have it now on your screen. So what are we going to talk about now? Is it notifications? Or is it ILT, which is instructor-led training sessions?
Oh my God, this is so close.
Yes, I know. This is like a debate. I feel like we're at the races. So yeah, which at this point, notifications are a little bit further ahead. But just to remind you a few things, notifications are the automated emails that you can set up in TalentLMS, and you can really reach out and notify people for actions that are affect them in the portal. And ILT, instructor-led training, is the way to create blended courses in TalentLMS. And you can have live instructor-led sessions virtually as webinars within the courses, or you can have them even on site, but still make them part of your LMS and have people's progress visible there. Okay, I think the poll has closed, so I'm gonna end it right now and I'm gonna share the results with everyone here. So you can see yourself that notifications are a little bit further ahead, so let's work
5
with them.
votes away, very close.
Yes. And I hope that this is also fun for you as it is for us. So let's go for notifications. Feel free to drop any questions, and I can already see that we have a question from Ed about notifications. So notification can in notifications the setting be changed or have the option of days rather than everything in hours? Well, that's a great question, and I'm going to share my screen, but you're correct. At this point, the option in notifications is calculated in hours. But this is great feedback for our product team, because we are not just here to present you with a learning management system exactly as it is, but we're also here to show you ways that we can improve it and hear your ways that we can improve it. But for now, Ed, yes, it is in hours. Let's go for another one as well. Dana is asking, is there a way to send a repeat notification for course enrollment only for users who have not accessed the course yet? Great question. So let's explore this together. In the events engine, I hope you can see my screen. Let's add a notification there. What we want to focus on is what the event is. So you want people who have not accessed the course. So people that have taken the course, maybe from the catalog, maybe you assign the course to them, but it doesn't matter, but they have not touched the course yet. It's a little bit different. We have this option that says course here, and that's going to be course acquisition. Now, what does acquisition mean? Maybe they have touched it and they have done 1 unit out of the 4 you might have there. Maybe they haven't even touched it whatsoever. So we're talking about course that has been received somehow, the catalog or yourself, doesn't matter, but not completed. Maybe not started, but not completed either. So this is what you would, I would suggest, want to use. And if I select the recipient here, of course, this is the related user. The related user is the person that has not completed that course yet. And of course, we get to define how many hours. I'm going to say 48 hours after they got the course and not completed it yet. Of course, you create the notification, and the first line is always a subject line. So that's going to be your course is pending. And of course, then we can go ahead and say, hi, use the person's first name. You see here, I have placeholders that I can click, and that will populate the pertinent user's information. And then we can go ahead and say the course, which course? I'm going to click on the course name, and that will be the course, for example, Introduction to Training, needs to be completed soon. And of course, you can carry on and write a more elaborate message if you want. Now, here's a trick. This will be sent after somebody got the course, not completed it, maybe not touched it, we don't know, 48 hours after they've done it, pretty much 2 days. But you can tick the box here and you can make it a recurring event. So if you say, for example, I want this to go away for a month every single week, you go here for week, you leave the slider as it is, or maybe you increase it, whatever you prefer. So I'm going to leave it for every 1 week, but I said a month. So a month typically has 4 weeks. So there we go. Now somebody got the course, maybe didn't touch it, maybe haven't completed it yet, but somehow they have not really reached the end of course. And then 2 days onwards, first email goes out. And from that point onwards, every week for 4 times, they take an email. So I hope that this could be an answer that you would like to try for that question. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, and Gary also had his question answered. Fantastic. So I'm going to mark it as done as well. That's another one from Jessica. Notification question. Is there a way to customize how the notifications look? Right now, they're pretty basic, and we use another site to actually send emails that we can customize. Jessica, I hear you, and I understand that you're looking more to get a template, right? More like an email marketing template, if you like, with your logo or different colors. Definitely, I hear you on this. What you can do here, you can use HTML, of course, to underline or bold or italicize a few things, or maybe change the color sometimes, but still, I understand what you are looking after. And yes, notifications are not extremely customizable, but this is definitely something that we take into consideration. And we want to be honest, it doesn't do it yet, but again, we will definitely add it to the list of suggestions. There's another question as well about notifications, and that comes from Anne. Can I send notifications to my instructors when a user fails a course? So basically, what I understand you want to do is just alert your instructors about users who have not completed the courses that they're responsible for, so that way maybe they talk to them, they reset their progress or whatnot. Yes, you can. So what I'm going to do is just go back to notifications and see if I have one already here. Let me see. No, I don't, but that's fine. We can create one on the spot. So add a notification there. And the event that we would like to suggest is on course failure, of course. So I'm going to type the word course, and you will be able, not even like type it completely, just start typing. And you will find the course failure. This is the one. The recipient now. You said you want your instructors, not your learners, right? So it's going to be the course instructors. And that's going to be everybody that you have added as an instructor in the course. It might be just one person, might be 5 people. That's up to you. So then you continue and, of course, create a notification in the exact same way here. And another thing that you have now is the filter option here. The filter allows you to either choose specific courses or just have it work for everything. For example, if I don't add any filter here whatsoever, my notification will work for all of the courses that people fail, and notification will be sent to the instructors. But if I select which courses, maybe I don't want everything, maybe I want this one, that one, and potentially this one as well. So now that notification will only work for 1, 2, or 3 courses, or how many I have here. It will not work for anything else. So you have the option to either filter or not filter, just lose the filters completely, and then that notification will work for all of your courses regardless. The key here is to pick the correct event and the recipient being the course instructors. So I hope that helps. Let's see what else we have here. There's another one as well about notifications. Yes, Danny, my courses award certificates that expire annually, and then the users have to renew them. Okay, so you have courses with certificates, and you have chosen in the certificate settings to renew them after the expire. Perfect. Can I send an email reminder to people that they need to retake the course? Right. And because you're telling me about certificates, what I assume is you want to tie this notification with a certificate renewal, the expiration date of the certificate, versus just them completing the course, right? So what we're going to do now, let's go for the event. You might be guessing what I'm going to do. I'm going to type certificate. So whatever trigger word you want to get a notification for, just start typing and you will see the related solutions here. So I'm going to go for on certificate expiration. I don't want to do it before because the certificate expires and then the course will be automatically reassigned based on the settings of the course. So on certificate expiration, of course, we're not talking about the instructors here, right? We're talking about the learners. Instructors created the content, they don't need to learn anymore. So let's go for the related user. And you might be questioning as well. I can see somebody typing that. So you might be questioning, why don't you click on course learners? First of all, because I can't. You see, I cannot click there. Secondly, it's not all of the course learners. The course learners might have completed the course, might have not completed the course, might have renewed the certificate, might not. The related user is essentially the learners who need to take the notification because they fall in the category of the event. So 99% of the times, related user is the learners. And then, of course, you can create your notification definitely, and you have the option again to filter and use the filter for the courses. Now, if I choose specific courses right here, it works exactly the same. It will work only for those two. If I remove the filter, it will work for every course that has a certificate which has expired. And there's another question from an anonymous attendee. Where does the notification message goes in their email? Absolutely, you are correct. It goes in their email. So they will not really have an excuse to tell you, oh, I didn't read my emails, especially if they use their professional, their work email address here, which usually we tend to check more than one time per day. And there's another one as well, a very quick one. That is from Jorge. I hope I said it right. If I want to send reminders to people who need to complete the course soon, how do I get about sending them one per week? Do I need to set up multiple notifications? I think this is what we pretty much touched before, but I'm very quickly going to show you again. The event is number of hours after course acquisition. So let me find it here. And then again, related user, AKA the learners that need to get the reminder. You start with, let's say, couple amount of hours. Of course, you build your template, and this is a recurring notification. And if I'm going to say I want this to be sent every 4 days for, let's say, 15 times, then that will be the recurring notification there. And one final one as well. How many notifications do you have for ILTs? And I can see what you did there. You pretty much touched upon the subject that was almost competing here. Okay, so the easiest way to find out is filtering the notification correctly. So if I go to the event here, guess what? I'm going to type ILT. So we have this on ILT sessions create. So when you create a live session, that's when people get it, so they have the chance to register if they want. On registration of ILT, so they register and then you get the typical, let's say, congratulations, you have registered into that session. A couple of hours before, so that way, let's say an hour, 2 hours, 24 hours, they can get a reminder. Or the moment you provide a grade, because ILTs need to be graded to be completed, then the user gets, of course, a notification to see their grade. And final question about notifications, and then a new poll is coming, so prepare yourselves. Again, from an anonymous friend, if I want to create a notification for someone to finish a test, but not to get one if they don't have any courses assigned, which one should I choose? Well, I'm going to say none, because you don't have a way to have a test outside of a course. So the test is always part of the course. Now, what I would suggest is to only choose notifications for the courses that you have a test with. So what you're talking about is not to get a notification if they don't have any course assigned. That's fine, because if you would have a notification about courses being assigned, that would be this one on course assignment. But if you don't have one, you don't need to set up one. There's nothing default here. Now, what is the default part though? There's already a couple of notifications in your account. So when you created your account, you might have seen a couple of notifications here. So let's say let's pretend, for example, that this is a notification, which is the default on course assignment, which you don't want to use anymore. So you hover on top of it, and then you can deactivate it. Of course, you can delete it, but if you delete, you have to build it again if you need it later. But if you deactivate and update the notification, then it will not work. So you will not have it received by anybody. And at the same time, if you want to use it again, you go and activate it back. So to quickly answer your question, if you want to create a notification for somebody to finish a test, then you need to put a test into a course. And that notification would be either after course acquisition, or for example, before course expiration, depending whether you have an expiration date or just the number of hours after course acquisition. So that's the one, because the test needs to be within the course. There's no way to have test outside of the courses, but you can definitely deactivate if you already have it made there, the course assignment. So that way you don't, let's say, spam them when they assign a course. I hope that helps. And I hope that this is something that could steer a little bit of conversation toward that. There's a follow-up message from my friend here. And that is, what should we choose in event when we wanted to send notification to users who have not completed the course? So I'm going to type the word complete here. You have those options. Number of hours since the user first signed in and has not completed any course, or that could be another one on course acquisition. This one, couple of hours after course acquisitions, just those two. And final one, and then I promise you, we're gonna move on. Can you notify people to take surveys after their ILT? The surveys are part of the course. So then you have the option to add a survey underneath your ILT, and to complete the course, they need to complete all the units by default, unless you change it. So naturally, they will need to complete the survey before completing the entire course, because it's the last unit after the ILT. But when it comes to notifications, you'll see that if you type here the word survey, there's not a notification for that yet. But again, if you put the survey after the ILT, I can guarantee you that the users will need to complete it to complete the course. Okay, so another poll coming up on the screen, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now and bring you the final poll. So here we go. Branches or course settings? This is a big debate. And this is going to be the final poll for today. So we will dedicate it a good 15 minutes on whichever topic you would choose. And I can see here that it's almost like 45 to 55. So Nick, what's your prediction here?
Right now, oh my God, 52-48, it's super, super close. I cannot tell you because I don't want to influence people, but I think I have an idea on what is going to win.
I think as well. And to be honest, it's one of the closest polls that we've seen when we're doing this webinar series. So now we are at 53 towards 47. I'm not going to tell you what is what, right? But I think that we can just remind people in a sentence, what would you say it's branch and what would you say it's course setting, just in a sentence?
Yeah, sure. So when we're talking about branches, we're basically referring to independent training environments. Basically training environments under your main site, which are independent. They can have their own courses, their own users, even their own administrators if you want. Our other topic is course settings. So basically, we're going to talk about all the settings that are going to go inside the course. So when you create a course, what settings you can tweak to actually get your desired result. I think almost everybody replied. I think we have a lot of answers, Theo.
Yes. Okay, so let me just end the poll and drum roll, please. I'm going to share the results right now. There you have it. You can see Branches 53%, core settings 47. I'm going to mute myself and leave it to you, Nick.
There you go. That's great. By the way, the difference was 2 volts. That's all there is to it. So branches have won out on this. So let me share my screen and let's see your questions in regards to branches. And again, please don't be shy. You asked about branches. I know it was very close in the poll. I want to see your questions. So how do we add groups to branches? That's a question from Thomas. That's an amazing question. So this is kind of tying to the groups that I spoke before. So I'm very happy the 2 subjects I talk about kind of tied together. So there is 2 different ways to add a group to the branch. Way number 1, which is something that would apply to, for example, your branch administrator. You can go into a specific branch. So I'm just going to go here. And again, this is something that your branch administrators can do if you've also given them the ability to create groups. And you see now I have a different environment. I'm in a branch. Here I can click Add Group. And what this is going to do, it's going to create a new group inside this very specific branch. That's one way to do it. I'll click on the big arrow to go back home. And actually, I'll show you how a super admin can do it. Because remember, I'm the super admin. I'm not tied by any rules here. So what alternatively I can do is I can create a new group from the main site or go to an already existing one. And you know what? I'll use the data protection I used before, or maybe digital compliance. So I can actually go here and you see I have the option to set it in a branch. If this is blank, it means it belongs on the main site. If I want to give it to a specific branch, I just click and pick the branch that I want to add it to. So I can put it under marketing, for example. Can click update. That's it. You see now it's under marketing. It has its own label as well. So essentially 2 different ways to do it. It depends on which of the 2 you actually want to use. Let's see more questions. That's from an anonymous attendee. Super. You don't need to give us your name. It's absolutely okay. Do branches have separate discussions and calendar? Very, very nice question as well. So the calendar is not a feature that is tied to the branch or to the main site. It is tied to a user, which means every user is going to have their own calendar. A more simple way to say this, if I have a user which is a part of 6 branches, they will only have 1 calendar. So it doesn't matter if my user is on the main site or branch A or branch B or branch C, they will always have the same calendar. If events get added due to courses that are in different branches, they still would be able to see them because they tie to the main calendar. Discussions, though, they are very, very different. Why is that? First off, in regards to discussions, it's a feature that the instructor creates. So I'm going to mouse over my name, swap over to instructor. Now I'm an instructor. And you see I have the discussions here. So if I click to see the discussions, I can see, for example, I have the Learner Lounge, which, as you see, is public. I can just go in here to see what is available on this specific course, but also on this discussion, edit it. And as you see, everybody can see this topic. What does this mean? This means that the discussion is open to everybody. Is it though? So as we saw it, this is the Learner Lounge. So if I swap over to whichever branch I want, maybe we can go to the Spanish one. Why not? And here I am. And actually, I make myself again an instructor and actually check here to see what I have available. I see nothing. Why? So first off, the takeaway is that the discussions are branch specific. Why they're branch specific? This has to do with where they exist. So if I go once more back to the Learner Lounge that I was before, which is a discussion on the main site, you are going to see that it has an actual web address. And this web address is my main site. However, if this was a discussion in a branch, it would have a different address, which would be the branch address /discussion/index and the rest. So always keep in mind the discussions are branch specific. So if you want to have a discussion for everybody, make sure that you add a copy of it essentially to a course that belongs in different branches, or maybe you go to a branch and you make an open one for everybody there. So keep in mind the discussions are indeed branch specific. Hope that answers your question. Let's see other questions here. A question from Dana. And Dana is asking, can I change the default role for a user according to which branch they're actively in? Very nice question. For example, I need a manager to be an instructor in one branch, but I need them to be a learner in the other. The short answer for this is no, you cannot. Let me explain why. I get a lot of people that ask this question, and the idea is that you want people to have specific roles based on the branch that they belong in. That makes a lot of sense. However, what type of user you are is something that is not tied to which places you can visit, but is instead tied to your actual account. And I can even see this on my own account. For example, if I mouse over my name and I click here, my info, you're going to see that I have my user type. Your user type is one and the same. So it doesn't matter which part of TalentLMS you're going to access. If it is the main site, if it is branch A or branch B, your user type remains constant across all of the places. So what could you realistically do as a workaround for this, Dana? You could maybe create a second account for that person, or if in some specific, for example, courses, you want them to be a simple learner and you don't want them to have extra permissions, there's a workaround I want to show you since we have enough time. So I can go into any course, and let's say I want to go into this specific course here, and I can check on the users that I have enrolled. And you see I have Maria here. Maria is enrolled as an instructor. However, I'm an admin. And what I can do is I can swap her role over to learner if I want. So now for this specific course, Maria is going to be registered as a learner and not as an instructor. So that's kind of an alternative if you want to do with some people that you want to give them higher access in some places, but in some other courses, you just want them to be learners. This is how you can set it up. And in these specific courses, they're just going to be learners. So I hope that actually makes sense. I see another question, how to add an admin only for one branch? And will this admin still have the learner profile for the other courses on the main page? Super nice question as well. Now, kind of the second part of this question is what I just answered. So their user type is something that they're going to have across the whole platform. If they're an admin, they're everywhere an admin. If they're an instructor, they can always be an instructor. If they're a learner, they're always just a learner. So if you give them the ability to become an admin, this means that this account can everywhere be an admin where they're allowed to be. So with that said, the alternative, as I just showed you, is to register them to a course as a simple learner. But what about adding an admin to the branch? There's a couple of different ways you could do this. By default, in TalentLMS, if you go to your user types, you're going to have 4 user types: the super admin, the trainer, and the learner. Specifically, what you want is, if you want to add somebody to a specific branch, and that person should be an admin. Could you go ahead and make your own user types with custom permissions? Absolutely. But right now, let's say we have a person that is an admin, we want to add them to the branch. So all we have to do is find our users. And let's say here I have Abe. And Abe is, as you see, a simple learner. So if I wanted Abe to be a branch administrator, I would need to do 2 things. First off, edit his account and make sure I swap him over from learner to an admin. Not a super admin, a normal admin. And that's a big difference between an admin and an instructor, or an admin and a super admin, is that the super admin is not forced to follow the rules. So I'm just going to make him an admin, nothing beyond that. And I can save that. That's move number one. Move number two, I'll go to the branch that I want and basically add him as a user there. So let's actually do both of these steps. Let's add them to, I don't know, to the distributor branch, for example, and also make sure that this person is going to be here an admin. And I'm going to save it. So there's this person. And now what I want to do is I want to check I did everything correct. So more, log into account, and now I'm impersonating this user. And now you see the distributor branch where the specific person is, and he's actually an administrator inside here, as this is that. So I do hope this answers your questions. Now, I think we do have time for one more question. Is that correct, Theo?
Yes, absolutely. But make sure to pick something that we really, really want to know. I can see a couple of same questions here.
Okay, so let me see. Because indeed, we have quite a lot of questions. Can I have a custom name for my branch? And that's a question from Meredith. So the answer is kind of dual. Your branch will always have its own name in the sense that when you go ahead and actually create a branch, so let me go back to being myself. So when you create a branch, the branch is going to have its own address, and that address is always a subdomain of your main site. You can see this here. My main site is here, TalentLMS webinars.talentlms.com. This branch is called marketing. Its address, marketing, its name, dash tlmswebinars.talentlms.com. So basically, if you add a name to your branch, and probably you want to give it a name, then its address becomes its name, dash, and then your main site. Very easy. Could you actually change this completely and have this be marketing.com, for example? Not as such. If you want to, though, and if you have actually created a custom domain and you have mapped this custom domain to your main site, which is something that you can do through here, account the settings domain, and here you can map a custom domain. Of course, this is a bit more technical. It comes with its own set of rules that you can follow. But the most important rule, you must be the owner of the domain you want to add, right? So I cannot map my TalentLMS to a domain I am not the owner of. So if you do that, and maybe I call this, let's say, the best training in the world.com, then the name of my branches would actually follow along. So my branch would be marketing.thebesttrainingintheworld.com. So it would still be a subdomain from my main site, same naming convention, but it would actually inherit the suffix, the end, instead of being .talentlms.com, would be my custom domain. I hope that answers your question, Meredith. And I think that's what we have time for, Theo.
Yes. And to be fair, I thought that you would name this the best webinar in the world, but one can hope. Anyway, so yes, thank you so much for answering all those questions. And I know that branches are definitely a feature that not only people use, but people actually plan their entire subscription around that, because based on the plan that you choose, you get the related amount of branches and of course other useful features. But what I would like to invite you is to keep bringing your questions. So our direct email address, I hope you can see it on screen right now. That is trainingteam@talentlms.com. And on the chat, of course, Irene will share it as well. Feel free to send us your questions for anything that you would like to learn about TalentLMS, and our team will be able to answer and of course point you to the right direction. And we've answered your questions, but we have one question for you. Please, can you share your feedback? There's a survey right now on the chat, and the survey will also be presented once you leave the webinar. And you would definitely be very much contributing into the way that we build webinars here. So we want to hear your feedback. We want to hear what you liked about the session, any suggestions you have, and of course, anything that you would like to share with us. So we keep on bringing you sessions that you would like to watch. Talking about sessions, where are you going to watch them? Of course, I'm going to send you the recording of this webinar in a few hours in your email, and you can always share it with anybody who really wants to participate in a live Q&A like that, so next time they join us live. But at the same time, you can see it on our website. That is talentlms.com/webinars. And there you have the option to go and see new webinars and register for them, older webinars as well, and of course, explore all of the topics that we have covered during time. Thank you, Rini, behind the scenes. Thank you, Nick, for answering all the questions today.
Thanks a lot to everybody that participated. You were here with us, and I hope you found this interesting. It's a new kind of webinar we're trying, so I hope that you actually like the format. Please let us know. Your feedback is always important for us.
Yes, and we're looking forward to hearing from you. Till then, happy training, and of course, we hope to see you in our next session. Bye, everyone.